Rustin is the brand new Netflix film that hit the service a couple of weeks ago that I'm finally catching up on as award season is finally hitting its form. This film is directed by George C. Wolfe, whose last film was nominated for Best Picture and won some awards, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This time he directs this movie based off of a true story. It tells the story of Bayard Rustin, who was played by Colman Domingo, who's earning a lot of nominations during awards season. Rustin, with combination with him and Martin Luther King Jr., built the civil rights movement, and especially Rustin, who this movie is about, his idea for the Washington, D.C. Peaceful protest, which leads to the I Am a Dream speech by Martin Luther King Jr. The film also stars Chris Rock as Roy Wilkins, who is the head of the NAACP, who is against the march and is very much against Rustin from the beginning of the movie. Glenn Turman also reteams with George C. Wolfe as one of the helpers for Rustin for this movement. Amel Amin as Martin Luther King Jr. Also, the big part of the movie that Rustin is a homosexual, and that's been why we've never heard about really his story for so long. And he's in the movie with a love triangle. You have Tom, played by Gus Helper, and Elias Taylor, played by Johnny Ramey. Also, in a very small role, Jeffrey Wright plays one of representatives of a state who's also very much against Rustin. The film is an hour and 46 minutes and is PG-13. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Tindenberg. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do these types of movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and then back up again on Monday. I'll be doing my box office breakdown show. Comment down below. First of all, have you seen Rustin? If you have, did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you think the movie should be recognized more than just Colman Domingo? Or do you believe this is the best performance of the year in Colman Domingo? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you've not seen it, tell me, are you waiting for Oscar nominations to check it out? What are your thoughts on it? And also, please leave a like button. So as I said last week, I was basically taken out due to illness, so I'm just catching up on a lot of these movies, and I did May December last week, and now I'm catching up on another awards film in Rustin. So let's give my thoughts on this movie. I do want to say right away that this is a movie that I do think needs to be seen, and I do kind of feel not ashamed, but really disappointed that this person and Bayard Rustin has never seen the limelight for the general public. It took 50 years post the Washington March for him to get a Presidential Medal of Freedom. And this is one of the most iconic, influential, important people in the history of the world, especially the history of this country. Because yes, Martin Luther King Jr. is, I'm not going to, go crazy, but he's obviously one of the most important people of all time. But it really was when Martin Luther King Jr. was teaming up with this person, did the civil rights movement really gain progress. And that's to the smartness and the brilliance of Martin Luther King, and also the brains of the operation, which is Rustin, who in this movie is being played by Colman Domingo. Now, I'll say this right away to you guys, because obviously I'm sure a lot of you are coming into this review just seeing my thoughts on Domingo, and he is phenomenal in this movie. Now, I've been a major fan of Colman Domingo. It's kind of funny, he went to the same alma mater as I did in Temple. But I've really loved him for a very long time now. When you have obviously the Euphoria show, which I really have loved. Zola is one of my favorite performances of his. There's a couple other ones in there. He was even in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. He's an excellent actor, but this is his first true leading role in the mainstream. And he is fantastic. It is a moving performance. It's a heartwarming performance. And Domingo just commands the screen. And this is his movie. He is in every single scene of this film, and he is phenomenal in the film. It's definitely one of the best performances I've seen this year and does deserve to be nominated, not just in these other award shows, but definitely at the Academy Awards, which we'll find out the nominations in the next month or so. But Domingo just commands the screen. And there's so much vulnerability that he brings that character, which I think is absolutely necessary. So I absolutely adored Domingo. And for a lot of the movie, that is why you're kind of interested in watching the film. From other performances perspective, there aren't those a lot of the other characters kind of fit into those biopic stereotype type characters. But I really did actually like Amel Amin as Martin Luther King Jr. He is phenomenal in the film as well. And I think it's the best relationship in the film, is trying to figure out that relationship between Rustin and MLK, and Amin and Domingo do a really good job in the film. Really also like Glenn Turman. He has one powerful scene in the film as well. As I said, this is very much an educational film for someone like me who's never heard of Rustin before, sadly, before watching this movie. And movie does a really good job exploring who Rustin is as a person. He grew up as a Quaker. He's a homosexual during this time. And even his own people, even Black people, when he was trying to do movements, were not with him because of these other past allegations. And everyone, he's always had a target on his back. It's a very much a powerful character, and I think the movie absolutely needs to be seen by as many people as possible. The scene behind me, by the way, I do want to say is one of the most moving scenes for me I've seen all year long. They're all watching someone talk on the TV about Rustin, and it's an absolutely moving scene that's hard for you not to feel emotional or heartwarming about the situation. The movie does have a good pace to itself throughout the entire film. The film does have consistent energy, pacing, I would say, throughout the entire film. But I am gonna, and also Jeffrey Wright, who's in 2 scenes of the movie, is excellent. There's one scene with Jeffrey Wright in this big meeting scene with involving kind of all the main characters of the film. And Jeffrey Wright, again, is also another phenomenal actor, and he delivers in the one scene that he is in. But I do have, this is one of the most frustrating good movies that I've seen all year long. This movie could have easily been one of the best movies of the year. It could have been in contention for Best Picture, but this movie just isn't great. And I think there's multiple reasons why it's not great. And for me, the biggest reason why for me is a filmmaking perspective. George C. Wolfe, who I really enjoyed his direction on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I kind of disagree with people. He made a play-like atmosphere feel very cinematic. And I feel like he made a movie feel really not as cinematic and felt way too streaming. Some of the production design isn't really good here. When they actually go to Washington, D.C., the shots are terrible. And it kind of just pulls me out of the movie. There's literally shots when they walk up the steps, I think of the Lincoln Memorial, and it looks real. And then they do a close-up and they're clearly behind like a green screen or something. I just feel like the movie itself just doesn't have that production value that like a Selma did all those 9 years ago. And that's why that movie did a lot of good things for nominations. From a production value perspective, I just did not, they were trying to also intercut real life video into the movie and cutting with the actual movie scenes. And I didn't feel like that technique worked or helped the movie at all. As I said, there are also a lot of I'll say this, I'm really happy that they shed a lot of light on Rustin's homosexuality, because that is obviously a major part of him as a person, as a character. But I just didn't buy any of the 2 romances that he has throughout the entire film. I didn't really feel there was much chemistry between either Colman Domingo with both Gus Helper and Johnny Rami. I just didn't feel the connection and the emotional weight behind both of those romances. And while I understood the need to do that for his, obviously his personality, I just didn't find the romance to be as gripping as I think the movie thinks it is throughout the entire film. As I said, we also needed a lot more, I think, Rustin MLK scenes. Like they talk about how they have been friends, excuse me, how they have been friends for so long. And we kind of, the beginning of the movie is kind of the worst part of their relationship. So I would have liked to seen what that relationship was before they start putting together this type of environment. But again, it is a movie. They can't get to all this. I'm not going to knock it. Chris Rock is very serviceable. This did not need Chris Rock. Sometimes it's a bit of a distraction for him to actually be in the movie. He's a solid enough, he's a serviceable dramatic actor. I think at times it is a bit distracting having him in the movie. And as I said, I don't think this movie just emotionally is as satisfying as I wanted to. There's this one scene behind me did, but the movie kind of just checks the box on biopics, and there's a lot of biopic stereotypes and cliches that are in this movie. That's why it also hurts it. So overall, I really wanted to love Rustin, and it's really because of Colman Domingo, who gives one of the best performances of the year. But sadly, the production to value, the direction is not that strong from George C. Wolfe. The romances, I'm just not a huge fan of, as opposed from a chemistry perspective. So overall, I'm going to give Rustin a 3.5 out of 5. But I am going to go 69% for Rustin. It's a solid movie. I wanted to love it, but it didn't get to that great tier for me. So that's my thoughts on Rustin. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys soon.